Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. On today's show, I've got a special guest. This gentleman became a member of Lifestyles Unlimited around 5 years ago, back in 2015, back before we were quarantining and doing all the things that we've been doing as a country. And he heard the mission statement of Lifestyles Unlimited when he went to check us out. And in that particular free workshop that he attended, he was told that if you follow what we teach, if you don't deviate, if you stay on track, if you surround yourself with like-minded individuals, if you find a quality mentor, you can achieve retirement in 5 years or less. Well, it's been about 5 years, so what we're going to do today is we're going to circle back with Brian, and we're going to find out if he was able to achieve that lofty goal. So let's get right into it.
Appreciate you having me on today.
Oh, I appreciate you being on. I mean, you know, you've got a really interesting story that I think is going to resonate with the audience. I think it's fair to say that you've effectively retired yourself.
I have and I haven't, but yes, financially speaking, we are retired, correct. And we did it in about three years. We replaced my income about three and a half years after joining Lifestyles.
Okay, so you did it in less than 5 years. So is it also fair to say that you're not in your mid to late 60s and maybe into your 70s?
I'm in my early 40s, yes.
Okay.
Some days I feel like my late 60s, but yes, it's early 40s.
You must have my body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too many sports.
Oh, yeah, I hear you. So, you know, where I'm going with this whole thing, Brian, is we were taught when we were younger that the path to financial freedom was to go to school, get good grades, get into a good college, get good grades out of that college, get into the corporate world or some line of work that was really designed to help us earn money, probably more than we could have earned had we not gone to college, and to start stuffing money away into some kind of retirement plan. And along that way, keep building that money up until we get to a ripe old age that we call retirement, maybe in our 60s, possibly our 70s, and we live off of that money. But that didn't work out for you the way I just described, did it?
No. If that had happened that way, I probably would be 75. Yeah, when I retired.
What did you do wrong, Brian? I mean, you didn't follow society's plan. You did your own thing here. You joined Lifestyles, and you did a completely 180 on life. So tell us, what's it feel like to be in your early 40s and effectively retired, in control of your entire life, have the opportunity to do what you want when you want to do it? And what does that feel like?
It feels good. It feels good. It's important that everybody, you know, have the opportunity to do that, and I think they can. You know, I'm just an average person. I will say this over and over. I'm not. There's nothing special about me. I got average grades in high school and college. I was in sales and I did well, but I was never a President's Club winner. So I'm just kind of an average Joe. Just happened to make the right choices and kind of get involved with the right people in the right group, such as LU. And I've been able to do some, you know, pretty extraordinary things with our business and with our life in general for my wife and my two sons. I will say this, Al, I have to be very careful and tread very lightly when we talk about education because, you know, obviously I have two boys that are young, and they would love not to go to school and to just drop out in elementary and, go play and have fun and then learn about real estate. But they need to get through high school at least. Now, college, again, the college, the job, that whole thing is very debatable. I think we are all conditioned and poised to do that. I did it myself. All my friends did it. And, although getting a job and a high-paying job is nice, it also traps you. And I think it holds you back in some instances.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, my time in the military taught me very well how you can be dedicated to something and it can consume your entire life. And even though you have a family, that family tends to play second fiddle to your career path. I mean, was that the way it was for you in corporate America?
Yeah, so we obviously we're living in Hawaii. Actually, I don't know if we said that, but my wife and I are from Hawaii. We were living there. We had 2 young kids, under, not in kindergarten yet. They're both going to daycares. My wife and I were working full time. We were both doing very well. I think I was making a 6-figure income and she was, close to that. So combined household income was very large. But anybody living in the West Coast, California, or even the East Coast, New York, sort of these very expensive states, you realize very quickly that you are house poor. You're pouring a bunch of your money into your mortgage. You're putting a bunch of money into private school or daycare. You're pouring a bunch of money into taxes. And at the end of the day, you don't really have much to show for it, but you have to continue to keep working to maintain that lifestyle. So that was really the situation we were in. We were caught in the hamster wheel, just kept on running and running and running, and just felt like, we were exhausted and didn't have...
Hold that thought, Brian. We're getting ready to go to break, and when we come back from break, we're going to get into the details. Stick around.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Welcome back to the show. So if you're just joining us, I have Brian on the show. And Brian is a very successful real estate investor. He's currently invested in almost 2,200 units. Some of those units are as a lead investor, meaning he put the deals together and he brought other investors along with him in order to fund the deal. And then he operates everything. The other part of his investing strategy is that he takes his money and he invests with other lead investors. So he sends the money forward so that the money can do what the money is intended to do, but he doesn't necessarily get involved with the day-to-day operations or the management of those investments. Those are managed by the lead investors that he's invested with. But Brian, you didn't start off with like 2,200 units. I mean, you didn't just like join Lifestyles, go through the educational program, poof, you got 2,200 units, right?
It went by very quickly, but not poof. No.
Okay.
I think anybody out there listening, if you can decide, can get motivated, somehow find it within you to, join the group, you'll find out very quickly that you can rapidly grow your wealth and, like, you were saying earlier, Al, retire yourself if that's your goal within somewhere between 3 and 5 years. Now, I joined in 2015. I had a lot of real estate already. I had some real estate experience. I'd been investing since I was like 22 years old. My father got me into buying rent homes, and I rented out my first house I bought, and I rented out my 2 rooms to roommates. And then I just kept on going from there. And when I joined Lifestyles, I had a couple fourplexes and duplexes, and I was really looking for some help to take me to the next level to start investing in multifamily, larger multifamily properties, apartment complexes, 100, 200-unit complexes. So Lifestyles has been critically important in my journey to do that. And it took me since joining in 2015, it took me about a year to basically study all the information, really kind of learn the map, learn the ropes, talk to all the successful lead investors that had already been doing this within the group, networking myself, building my team with my mentors. It was a lot of work that went into it over that year. But once we got that all in place, Then in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, we bought 2 or more properties every single year in all 4 of those years. So that's why we're here today with having, like you said, I think it's like 1,200 units that we have under management and that deals that I've put together. And then the other 1,000 units or so, I passively invested in that first year when I was learning. And I wanted to passively invest in other leads deals to understand, hey, what do these people do? How do they communicate? How do they run their business? And that's, I think, the amazing part about this group is that you literally get to dive into people that are running $1 million businesses. And I don't know any other place you could do that. And a place where people are very open because they have probably been helped to build their business. So they want to, in turn, reach back and help you. So it's been an amazing ride. It's been life-changing for me.
So when you became a member, you were still working for corporate America, were you not?
I was, yeah. My plan was to ease into it. And like my mom says that, God laughs at man's best made plans. So my plan was...
She's right.
Yeah, she is, right? Moms are usually right. I was planning on, continuing to do my day job, slowly set up my team, start passively investing, then start buying my own. And then once I built up enough, units on my own, I would then transition and leave my day job. But for me, it didn't happen that way. The plan didn't go as scripted, like, it does in life. A lot of us out there, that's how life is. So I lost my job, in 2016, early 2016. And that actually was the best thing that's actually ever happened to me because we were discussing this before. When you go to college and you get out and you get a good high-paying job, you become almost addicted to that paycheck. You become tied to it. And then, like a lot of us, like we did, we were back in Hawaii, we were dependent on it because I had to get that paycheck because I had to pay for the mortgage. I had to get that paycheck because I had to pay for the daycare. There's no way. I didn't have an opportunity because I set my life up in such a way. I didn't have an opportunity to break from that, that cycle. Because if I did, it would crumble everything that I had set up. So when we moved to Georgia, luckily we had moved to Georgia, lower cost of living. We had sold a bunch of our properties, so we actually had a bunch of cash in hand. And when I lost my job, I was in a much, much different position. It was a position of, hey, this is an opportunity, not a detriment. So we were still able to live a good, decent lifestyle. The kids were still able to go to school. My wife was still able to stay home. And I was able to dive in full-time to real estate. And so that's really what, sprung the whole business. And I bought myself the time in basically 2016 to just dive in and learn everything that they teach you at Lifestyles about managing, operating multifamily property correctly.
How did passively investing into other deals help you to understand that business model?
In many ways, I think you get to understand what it's like being not in control and, just being a peer investor in these deals. So that's a whole different dynamic and feeling. And I think it's important, especially if you want to raise money. So it's important to understand where your investors are coming from and what they're feeling. Number 2, you're able to see their interactions. So you're able to see how they communicate. In a lot of circumstances, you're able to actually see the property. Now, this is pre-COVID, so I don't know how this moving forward is, but you're actually as a passive investor, you can go to the property, see it, touch it, understand physically what you're investing your money into. So it's not just like this hypothetical stock. It's not this number that trades on your computer. It's an actual physical asset. You get to go see it. And then you get to see the transformation. You get to see how they wrote the lead investor wrote their business plan. You get to maybe see the property pre-business plan. And then sometimes you can even see the property after the business plan to see it completed. If you can't go see it there physically, a lot of times the lead investors will send pictures. Hey, this is what's going on. This is what our rehab looks like. This is what we did to the outside. This is how we spiffed up the pool area. We put a new grill in. We repainted. New roofs, new windows, whatever the plan was. You're able to see and learn all of that. And if that's something that you want to do and it's something that you want to take on that work, then being in this group and being in Lifestyles, you have that opportunity to do so. And if you see all that work being done and you're like, I just want to be passive, you can continue to do that too.
But we know how that story ended. And when we come back from the break, we're going to get into what it's like to be a lead investor. Stick around.
Listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Welcome back to the show. So, Brian, before we get into a discussion on why going down the path of being a lead investor, what I'd like to do is just kind of ask you a little bit about those passive investments that you got involved with. Why did you choose multifamily over single family for your path forward?
So personally, there's a couple of reasons, but personally, I had already done the single family. So like I said before, I was 22, renting out rooms to my roommates, and then kept on just building a small portfolio and had a couple, fourplexes and such. So I'd already done that and realized that it can only take you so far. For one, whenever you're dealing with single family, you're limited on what you can buy. Now, there's ways around that now, and obviously, if I knew what we knew at, what they teach you in the single family program at Lifestyles, I think I would have been much more successful at the single family niche. But I had felt personally that I'd already kind of accomplished that and done the single family, and I really was looking to get, go larger. When you have multifamily, you have more scale, you've got different types of commercial loans, you have the ability really to improve the business, and it's numbers driven. It's not appreciation driven, where you have to, wait for the house you live in to appreciate in value. If everybody in the neighborhood's, home goes up in value and yours goes up in value, then hey, that's a pretty good time to sell. There's a small amount of, that goes on in multifamily, but it's a lot less. Multifamily is really based on the business. It's based on numbers. It's based on your performance. So that was what intrigued me and really drew me towards investing in multifamily.
So as you're investing passively in other deals, you're seeing this actually play out in front of your eyes.
That's 100% correct, right? So you see when you initially invest, you put your money together with other like-minded investors. The lead investor is the one that basically puts the business plan together and finds the deal, and it creates the business plan by saying, hey, look, this is how we're going to improve the asset. This is how we're going to improve the apartment complex, make it better for our residents. And this is how we're going to improve the bottom line, which is the NOI. And once we accomplish that, the value then will go up. And this is how we will, then generate a return for you as an investor. So you're able to see how this whole thing plays out, because as you put your money in, you see the business plan. And then as you're getting the updates from the lead investor, you see how it's being improved and how the operations are being improved, how the physical assets being improved. And then, several, 2 or 3 years down the line, you see how when all that improvement is done, you see how the value has changed and you get a return from it.
So at what point did you decide, hey, wait a minute, I can do this. This is not very difficult. I can actually make this happen.
I think anybody, after seeing it, after being a passive investor and learning and going through the program, you will know very quickly whether you can do it or not. And I think everybody can do it. It's just whether you are willing to commit to doing it, because there's a lot of work that's involved. Obviously, if you're a lead investor, it's you've basically got a job and you are a steward of other people's money. So there's an amount of stress and amount of responsibility that comes along with that. So it's not for everybody. For me, I really love real estate. I love people, and part of my purpose is, what I feel my purpose is bringing value to people. And this was a way that I could bring tremendous value to people. I could bring value to our residents that live at the property that we're improving. I could bring, value to our investors that are trying to retire or trying to, be good stewards of their money. And then also, building a team and building a community. We have about 80 people that work with us now. Building that team is rewarding too, because now we are supporting people and giving people wonderful jobs in this industry, in the multifamily industry. So for me, that was the sell. Was like that's what's driving me. As I wanted to bring value, wanted to touch more people's lives, and that's really why I went that direction.
So what was the first thing you really had to wrap your head around when you made the decision to become a lead?
For me personally, the first thing you really have to embrace, and it's the hardest thing that I've had to get used to, is being a steward of other people's money. Because up until that point, I was always investing my own money. And so if, you don't do as well, or God forbid you lose your money, I've never lost money in real estate, but if you did, it was your own money, right? So that is I think, a big hurdle. It's something that a lot of people, you either can or you can't stomach it, really. And that was the biggest hurdle for me to get over. But, I come from a place where I'm going to treat everyone's money like it was my money. And that's really the mentality you have to have, I think, if you become a lead investor.
Yeah, I think that, as a passive investor myself, to hear a lead investor like you say that gives me a lot of calm, because that tells me that I'm important to you. It's not just my dollars. It's my goals and my objectives and the things that I'm trying to accomplish by investing with you. That makes me feel really good that we're on the same wavelength.
100%. It's got to be a win-win for everybody, right? It's got to be, everybody's kind of goals have to align. Some of our investments are not the right investments for people, right? A lot of it's timing. A lot of it's, whether that certain asset that we're purchasing fits that person's investment goals and models. So that is, I think, what's the power of Lifestyles as well. Something that's great being a part of this group is because you get to network and see lots of deals and meet lots of leads, people who are putting these deals together, so that you can pick and choose which one best fits with your plan. That's been an exciting thing to participate in, too.
Now, your first deal was a 124-unit apartment community. I mean, first deal as a lead investor. We know that you've invested passively in a bunch of units. But why that particular property? What was it that attracted you to that community?
Well, it checked all the boxes. It checked off the map, what's taught here at Lifestyles. And so everything, the area that it was in, the value add, the value that we could add to it, just everything about it just kind of lined up to what we were looking for and what we've been taught. And so it was just hard to get. It was the first one is always the hardest one because you're not well networked with the brokers. The multifamily space is a very tight-knit community. It's very small. Even though it's a billion-dollar business, a couple $1 billion, maybe even trillions, it is a very small community within your area. And Atlanta was no different. So that was a difficult one for me to break into. But once we did, here we are.
I know the returns and I know what it did for you. And when we come back from the break, I'll just ask you the question so that everybody will know. Stick around.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. It's time to turn up the volume and fine-tune your passive income plan so you can create the lifestyle you've always wanted.
Welcome back to the show. So as we went to break, we started talking about Brian's first investment as a lead investor. It was a 124-unit apartment community in College Park, Georgia. And Brian, is it safe to say that particular investment really created the baseline for you moving forward?
Well, for sure. I mean, being the first one, you always want to get it right. So we follow the map, obviously, very carefully like we do on all of our deals. We try to, follow the tried and true ways of improving the property, bringing value to the residents, and, just trying to do our best job training our team to execute on our business plan as best closely as we can. In 2.5 years, I think we returned about 160 plus return to our investors, which was just, mind blowing. I think that's 4 or 5 times what the market would have done within that 2.5 year, period. For example, if we gave, the investors that invested with us, they put in $100,000, we're returning $260,000 back to them. So for some people, it was life-changing retirement money. For other people, it was just a really, really nice return, which they could then invest in some of our other deals. So it was it was really hard to sell, because it was my baby, the first one we did, right? It was an emotional, it's weird to say that something like, it's an apartment complex. I mean, how could it be emotional? But for me, it was emotional selling it because we put so much hard work into it, and it was the first one we did, and it turned out great. I think I don't want to speak for all our investors, but I think most of them were very happy with the product and with the return.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking if I had $100,000 available at that time and invested in that deal, and less than 3 years later you give me back $260,000, I would be pretty happy with that, because I just don't know of any other way to invest my money where I can get substantial returns like that mitigate the risk associated with making investments of that kind.
Well, I will say this. I mean, obviously, I tell this to our investors, past performance does not guarantee future result, right? But investing in multifamily, you're not speculating, you're investing in tangible assets, you are investing in businesses that cash flow and make money. And these things are not widely available to the common person until you join a group like Lifestyles. Hey, it's kind of like the best hidden secret to investing your money. I mean, most people are going down to their, broker's office and reviewing some kind of spreadsheet that they have of really like a slew of mutual funds that they don't really understand or know that they put their money into. But this is literally a tangible asset that you can go see, feel, touch. It's not very complicated to understand. You're basically improving the property, making a better place for residents to live, and you're increasing the productivity of the asset by managing the expenses down and increasing the income to then get a better net profit at the end. And we all share in the profit that you invested into it, and everybody wins. The investors win, the residents win. And so, it's an amazing, amazing thing to be a part of.
Now, you didn't stop at that 124 units. I mean, you picked up an 88 unit and then a 352 unit and then a 242 unit and then a 238 unit, then a 200 unit, then a 278 unit. I got to take a break, man, because I got to breathe here. And then you went to, like, how do they say it at McDonald's? Supersize it? I mean, you took down a 482 unit property. I mean, is it the same process, or do you have to do something different when you supersize your investment?
No, that's a great thing. The model is exactly the same, right? Because the business is exactly the same. It's just more units. It's more people. Yes. Maybe more income, obviously, and a little bit higher expenses because you've got more property to manage and more units. But at the end of the day, it's not rocket science. That's why this is a repeatable model. It's something that, the mentors at Lifestyles have been teaching for 30 plus years. Dell has been teaching for, 30 plus years. So it really isn't rocket science. When you figure it out, it's a simplistic model that, if done correctly, can be very profitable and very meaningful for many, many people.
So looking back, I mean, this is 8 multifamily communities that you went out and found and brought investors alongside of you and invested in, and then worked on the physical rehabilitation of the property where necessary. You worked on the operational rehabilitation of the property where necessary. You worked on promoting the property correctly and getting the rents to where they should be. Do you feel worn out? When you run it back like that, shouldn't I? I should feel just exhausted. I love what I do. I'm thinking the people listening are like, dude, man, that's some heavy lifting.
Hey, I love what I do. I've always had a passion for real estate. I love the fact that we've been able to build this business. I've got tremendous help, and I will say that. Again, I'm an average student. I'm an average person, and, I've been able to just be smart enough to surround myself with people who are much better, much smarter, much more talented than I am. And I know that may sound kind of cliche, but the group, Lifestyles Unlimited, has allowed me to just meet some amazing people. It's helped me build the network and the team that we have here locally in Atlanta. And we manage, property across the Southeast and Tennessee and Alabama. But we've been able to hire some really great and talented people, and they all help me. So I'm not doing all the lifting myself. I'm, one small cog one small piece of this whole puzzle. And I just love being a part of it. I love the fact that we're helping people. I love the fact that, this business has actually been able to buy my life back We talk about living a better lifestyle. I went from my wife and I working full-time, our kids in daycare, to my wife stays home now. We're able to enjoy our time with our sons. I'm able to coach and do Cub Scouts and just participate and be present more than I ever have because I'm not traveling as much. Although we manage a very semi-large business, we structured it in a way where we have the right people in the right place to deliver the right results for people. So it's been a wild ride. It's been great. It's been fun to build it, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I think part of this process is just growing and continuing to grow and help and serve, and that's what I'd like to continue to do.
You know, I'm just sitting back and I'm thinking about your description of your family life right now. You know, the fact that you're able to coach and participate in Cub Scouts, and your wife has the opportunity to basically be a full-time mom to your children. Is that where you thought you would be when you were back in corporate America, doing what corporate America expected of you?
You know, it's where I thought I would have been getting out of college, to be honest with you. And that's the frustrating part, I think, most of us out there, and hopefully I can help some of the people out there listening. When you get out of college and you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and you got time in front of you, you really think like, oh, man, that'd be awesome. I'm going to have a nice family. I'm going to be able to spend time with them. I'm going to throw football in the front yard, and my wife will be able to live the life she wants. And then I think, you know, life gets in the way. You maybe make some decisions that you don't understand at the time, but puts you in a place like we were, which we were in a hamster wheel. We were both working full time, not seeing our kids, not spending time with each other. And I think there's a better way out there. And I hope that if somebody's out there listening, if this guy named Brian, this average guy from Hawaii can do it, then I can do it too. But it's really making small decisions that will echo out over the course of time. And it's changing your thought process, and it's changing your life by really looking into this group, looking into Lifestyles Unlimited, looking into finding ways of earning passive income and finding ways of investing in real estate. All this stuff can help you get the lifestyle that you want. And so I did imagine it. I got off track for a while, and I got back on track. And now I thank God every day. I pinch myself. I'm so grateful and so thankful for the life I'm living. And I can't say anything more.
Well, it's good because we're at the end of the show. Hey, thanks, Brian, for being on the show. I appreciate it so much, and I'm glad you've regained control of your life because that's what we're all about.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.